Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd like to start with a quote. The ears of the leader must ring with the voices of the people. Great president once said that. Mr. President, I rise today to make it clear to everyone in this chamber exactly why I cannot support this legislation. You've heard the chants outside this chamber, not just today and last night, but many times over the past 2 years. Thousands of people have shown up, union and non-union, men and women, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, even their children. These are the working families of Michigan. These are the thousands of people that I would sit here to represent. When I vote no, I'm voting no on behalf of the thousands of families. Who are you voting yes for? Grover Norquist? I know he sent you all a letter asking you to support this anti-worker legislation. You are voting yes because a handful of corporate lobbyists, a handful of fat cats in the back are telling you to. That's who you work for, the powerful few, the guys with top hats and monocles. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I work for the people, for the many. I proudly represent them in casting this no vote. I'm doing what's right, what's good for the people. And I tell you this, Mr. President, we will fight you. We will not let this stand. We'll fight you from Kalamazoo to Timbuktu. We'll fight you from the streets and in the suites. We'll fight you in the penthouse and we'll fight you in the outhouse. And Mr. President, I'll tell you this right now, when it's all said and done, when it's all over, we will grab the thunderbolt of truth. We will grab the rod of revolution and we will have our victory. And the spoils will go to the working people of Michigan. And you will forever remember the day when you thought you could conquer labor. You were sorely mistaken. Be prepared to engage in the fight of your life. You might win this battle, but the wars are brewing, sir. The wars are brewing, sir. And we're coming, and we're taking no prisoners, and we're taking no quarter. And Mr. President, when all said is done, working men and women of this state will reign supreme. Thank you, and I ask that my comments be printed in the journal.
Hello and welcome to The Young Effect. I am your state senator, Coleman Alexander Young II. Always a privilege and a pleasure to be here with you live on TV 33 WHPR. You can see us all around the world at www.tv33whpr.com, www.tv33whpr.com on the World Wide Web. You could also call in 313-868-0351, 313-868-0351, 313-868-0342, 313-868-0342. The numbers are below you on the screen. 313-868-4336, 313-868-4336, 313-868-4336. Now, as always, before we begin, I want to give honor and praise to our men and women on the military that are over there in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, wherever they are. We just want to say we're praying for you, and we hope that every single one of you come home. Also, we want to make a special prayer to our local police, firefighters, emergency service personnel, anyone who makes the city a better place, our nonprofit communities, our water warriors, anybody who is spending their time to uplift and empower others. We praying for you. Our social justice warriors, we love you. We thank God for you. Our reparations fighters, we love you. We thank God for you. Anybody that's out there trying to do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do, we love you and we praying for you. Please join me for a moment of silence as we honor our heroes, both abroad and at home, and as we honor everybody who tries to make Detroit, Michigan, America, and the world a better place. Please join me for a moment of silence. All right, thank you for that. That being said, again, the numbers to call in 868-0342, 868-0351, 868-4336, 868-4336. That's 313 area code for all those numbers. Do we have some callers? We don't? Okay. So with that being said, I want to get right into it. We had a real busy week this week. A lot of stuff going on. First, I want to talk about what's going on in Lansing. Then I'm going to talk about the rest of the week. First week. The first thing we go up there this week, we were talking about, we passed legislation involving prevailing wage. That is a wage that's set so that workers who are in the construction industry or in that business get paid wages, and they get paid wages, and they get paid health care benefits and things of that nature that are up to where they should be for that job. That's what prevailing wage is. That's basically what it means. That's what we've been doing. That's what I thought it's a good thing. They got rid of prevailing wage. I think that's going to impoverish a lot of people. I think that's going to hurt a lot of folks long term in terms of workers who are working in the construction area. These are folks who build our buildings, who build the monuments, who build a lot of the new construction that's going on, who build the stadiums, who build the skyscrapers, who build the homes. People who are being put to work with these jobs, from the sweat, who make money from the sweat of their brow. I'm talking about folks who take showers after work, not before work. These are the folks who were hurting. People with families. People that's barely struggling to survive as is. And we all know that there's a direct link between labor and the middle class, and people being able to have a better lifestyle for their family so they can send their kids to college, so the next generation can have it better than the previous one did. That's what it's all about. That's what it is. That's what we're doing. And I think there is a war on labor all across this country. And the reason why we got income inequality that is as great as it is today is because the decline of the unions. That was the link. Those are the guys on the front lines, the guys on the battlefield, the light in the darkness, the voice for the voiceless, who are fighting for jobs for the jobless. You learned a skill, and you had an opportunity to put food on your table and money in your pockets, a roof over your head, clothes on your back. And from the sweat of your brow, you were able to make it and provide for yourself and family. That's part of the sacred promise of America. And if you do right, play by the rules, you can make it. And when you get rid of the prevailing wage, What we're saying is that principle doesn't matter anymore. That value doesn't count anymore. And we're not talking about the millions of workers that we are leaving behind already that are living in poverty or underemployed. And I said this once, I say this again, nobody in America should be working full time and struggling to make ends meet. Nobody. In the greatest country on earth, in the wealthiest country on earth, nobody should. And now to do this, the ratio between the average CEO pay is over 360 times greater than their employees. 360 times. I mean, let me really get into this a little bit deeper. A prevailing wage is defined as the hourly wage, according to Wikipedia, the hourly wage, usual benefits, overtime paid to the majority of workers, laborers, and mechanics within a particular area. Okay? They're established by regulatory agencies for each trade and occupation employed, as well as state departments and labor equivalents. So basically what the Republicans are saying is that the establishment of the prevailing wage and these workers that are getting paid too much. And we're going to take that away from construction workers so we can put more money into the pockets and coffers of the wealthy few. At the expense, at the blunt, at the burden of the working man, the common man. This is what's wrong. It's wrong, fundamentally. So we did that. Then we passed auto insurance. We reformed auto insurance deform. It went from committee to the floor in 2 days. And what that does, it says that basically, if you're a senior citizen and you get into a catastrophic car accident, we're going to take health care benefits away from you. We're going to take the coverage that you usually would get for no fault away from you. We're not going to reduce your rates. We're not going to stop redlining. We're not going to cut lawsuits and costs out of the system. We are going to save money by increasing your exposure because Medicare can bill you for these costs in an automobile accident. So increase your financial exposure and reduce the medical benefits you receive if you get into a car accident. Oh, by the way, we're also going to have a fraud authority, which is fantastic, but it's only going to go after folks who are trying to commit fraud on the industry, not when the industry commits fraud on the citizens. And we're also going to lower the number of hours you can be in attendant care as well. Oh, yeah, by the way, we also put work requirements for Medicaid, which if you hadn't read on the internet, I said was a turd. Might be a shining turd, but it's still a damn turd. There's some other words I could use, but we're on TV. This is the world we're living in. You have over 700,000 people who are being arrested every day for possession of a plant you can't die from that has medical benefits, known as marijuana, filling up our jails with black and brown people every day. They're not building the Wayne County Jail just because of the poor conditions of that jail. I'm sorry, folks. They are building a jail so that they can build the capacity to lock folks up in. Because the prisoner industrial complex or the jail industrial complex is big business, which means it's big money. And when you have people who are making money based on how many folks they can charge a head who uses the phone to call their relatives with, and commissary, and all that other stuff, plus the uniforms, plus the bail bondsmen, plus the people who build the cells, plus the parking lot guys, plus the court system. We don't have a system that's designed to rehabilitate or correct or protect and serve. We got a system that's designed now to punish and profit. And we wonder why we got the recidivism rates we got in this country. And something as simple as ending prohibition on weed, we could not pass. They could not muster the votes to pass. But they had no problem passing laws that are going to put people in poverty. And as we all know, poverty is lethal. 300,000 people die from poverty a year in America. And if it's not prevailing wage, it's Medicare work for Medicare work requirements, which is ridiculous because 60% of the folks in this state that use Medicaid already have jobs. And don't forget the exemption, they took it out of this one, but the exemption they put in there for rural areas. So it wouldn't apply to rural areas, it would just apply to urban areas, which we all know was code name for black people, or black and brown people, or African Americans and Latino people. The othering of America. You don't believe me? Just look at how they treated Barack Obama. It exists. It's a thing. So they had no problem doing that, but one of the major issues involving criminal injustice and institutional racism, which is the drug war. And we had a real opportunity to curb this back. And we should have done this before the people signed on the petition to legalize it. We should have legalized it a couple years ago, quite frankly. But the fact that we didn't, I just think is absurd. After study after study after study has shown that it is safer than what currently exists, and it has medical benefits that the other prohibited drugs and legal drugs do not have. I have no idea why marijuana is a Schedule I drug. It makes no sense. Time to end the prohibition on pot. We got some callers. Caller, you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good.
Is it true that the representatives are getting ready to go on a summer break?
Yes. This week, after this week, after next week. No, after this week, after this week.
Okay, don't you think that why not do something about the auto insurance before you go?
I
Because-
agree. I think that's a good thing. Let me say this. I'm one out of 10 members in the Michigan Senate. You need 19 votes to pass anything. A minority in the House and the Senate. So it's hard to get things done. But from our perspective, I totally agree. I think we should. And it started to become a problem across the state. There was a guy who was talking who was from Frankenmuth, who represents Frankenmuth. And he was saying that that's all his constituents talk about is the increasing cost of auto insurance.
The worst in the country.
Yeah. I highest in the country. Well, highest, worst. I agree. I totally agree. And let me say this. I think these people running around here with these signs or these billboards talking about, thanks Lansing, I think that's incredibly naive and totally oversimplification of what's going on. It's not just about choice. It's about regulatory reform. It's not about choosing between one or another. It's about actually making sure that the costs go down and that we do not live in a system where legal redlining is sanctioned. Because that's what territorial rating is now, that we have now. It's legal redlining. It literally
Okay, now,
is.
Your credit score should have nothing to do with it.
I agree.
Where you live should have nothing to do with it. Your amount of education should have nothing to do with it. Only your driving record. So this is why black folk got to get out and vote, throw the Republicans out of office.
That's
Every
right.
last one of them.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I just want to say I got a bill that will do all that. That will curb effectively end redlining. That will also stop using your base of your credit or your sex or your education level, because your sex also has to do with this. Look, this is what I believe. I believe your auto insurance rate should be based on your driving record, your years experience, and the miles driven. And it can be or not necessarily be in that order. It should not be based off of where you live. I totally agree. 110%. You got another caller? Hello?
How you doing, young Junior?
I'm doing good, sir.
Now, the bill that you got coming, do you got the Republicans bagging you on that? The Republican the Senate bagging you on that?
I'm trying to reach out with them every day. We were supposed to work something out, but then, they switched it up on me and ran the bills that they ran, that the Republicans in the House said that they're not going to take up. So the Republicans in the Senate and the Republicans in the House can't even agree on this issue.
Martha Scott tried this for years. What is it going to take for the Republicans to try to go along with this insurance bill to help the citizens in Detroit? We got to use some kind of strategy or something, because this is ridiculous.
Well, let me say this. I think that one of the things that drives people's decisions up there, particularly I believe in urban areas, when you have the Republicans that are in charge, is self-interest. And right now, you have a lot of people who are in these suburban areas and who are outstate and who are mid-state who are seeing auto insurance premiums rise considerably. And they are paying more than they are used to paying in this state. And so as a result of that, because of because I think of the lack of stability within the auto insurance system, and I think the fact that now you have so many people that rates are going up, they're going to want to do something to reform this. I think the question is, how do we get there, and what do we do it with? I'm saying this: I'm not comfortable, nor do I want to support anything that's not going to lower rates, that's not going to end redlining or either reduce redlining or end redlining, really, end redlining, is not going to do anything about credit scoring, is not going to do anything about cutting cost out the system.
I know
lawsuits.
that the insurance situation is not a federal thing; it's a state by state
Right.
Situation.
Because the McCarran-Ferguson
I
Act.
think what they need to do is bring it to the attention to the Supreme Court, because that's almost like racketeering. How you gonna charge this person that and that person one thing? I think that they should get involved in this some kind of way. I know insurance is like I said, a state by state thing, but it's almost like they taking advantage of people, man.
Yeah, man. No, it ain't like they not. They are. And let me just say, listen. I think this is what the federal government can do. I think there is an office within the Department of Treasury called the Federal Insurance Office, and in the Federal Insurance Office, basically they put out reports. They put out a national report with, I think it was with ProPublica, and ProPublica did a report on it themselves, basically talking about how redlining exists across the country. They're talking about it in New York, in Chicago, and I think in Pennsylvania and a couple other places. I think that we should do a report like that specifically on the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit. And I think that if we do that and put that publicly, as well as I think that I want to work with the Congressional Black Caucus to be able to call these folks out and have subpoenas and hearings and make these folks testify under oath about whether or not they're redlining the citizens of Detroit.
So do you think, I'm going to say this real quick, do you think there's any way possible in the future that the senators, like you was talking about the Black Caucus, you think they can change that law then, whereas that since the insurance industry is a big industry, because if they don't do nothing about that, people would never get a fair shape in that.
Look,
so they need to change the law on that, because, like you were saying and I'm saying, they're taking advantage of people. So enough is enough.
No, you're right. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Let me say this. I think that this year there might actually be something done. I mean, I know that's crazy to think, but I think it's probably going to be in lame duck. But I think after the elections are over in lame duck, I think that people are going to come together and try to get something done on this. People are not going to take this. They're not. And
what they need to do, they need to compromise and have a situation where that people can pay for the type of insurance. Say, like, you just want them to cover in case your car, somebody hits your car or something like that. They ought to give people more options, because they're too high.
Yeah, we definitely need to give. You give people more options. I agree with that, but until you deal with the issue of legal redlining in this country, in this city, in the state, and until you deal with the issue of lawsuits, and I don't think it's just going after doctors. I also think it's reversing the DeVillers decision. And until you start dealing with using your credit, using your sex, using your occupation to determine rates, this stuff is outrageous, what's going on in this state in terms of what they're using to determine race, and they got nothing to do with your driving record. And until we go back to a system that's based on your driving record, this stuff is going to continue to happen. You can have as much
that
choice
the
as you
big
want
three
to.
executives need to get behind that too, because if people's car insurance is higher than their car note,
Yeah.
that affect their sales.
Yeah, I agree. Until we have a regulatory system that holds folks accountable, until you have an efficiency system so that you got folks to make efficiency standard. So you got folks that are actually paying when insurance companies get this money, it's actually paying for the cost of providing the service, not being spent on swanky offices or, overcompensating CEOs of the industry. Until we start actually having real, serious, structural reform, until we start having rate rollbacks, I think that the insurance commissioner needs to be elected. I think we need to have prior approval from the insurance commissioner. And until the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association, which is the money that everybody is mandated to pay in order for us to get these medical benefits, actually has more people on that commission than association, and more members on that association, or just have members on that association other than people who work for the insurance industry, and it's open to the public, this stuff ain't gonna change.
And see, the only reason why they're getting away with that because they know they're doing Detroit people like that, but all over the country it's not like that. If it had been a situation it affect other urban places all over, then they have problems. Then.
Well, look.
See, that's how they getting away with it so long.
Well, look, they doing other people across the country like that. They not doing it to them as bad as they doing it to people over here in the city of Detroit. So I totally understand where you coming from. Look, we can talk about this all day. I gotta get going. Love you,
I know
brother.
you got. I know you could. Even if they change the law, and I'm gonna say this right quick. Even if they change the law, if I live in Detroit and I want to get insurance cover in Ohio, they ought to let people do it that way. But like you saying, we'll be talking about this all night. But it's a serious situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for that call. You got another caller?
Happy Sunday.
Hey, happy Sunday. Go ahead. Speak up a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, racketeer is not a crime as long as it's done by the right complexion. It's going to continue in the same direction. There's a lawsuit, supposedly a federal lawsuit against the insurance company. I have some phone numbers, and I invited them to come to Hood Research for their meeting next month. So I'll give more information as I figure this thing out with this insurance.
Hey, back away from the phone a little bit. Back away from the phone a little bit. It's kind of muffled.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, I got a phone number. I met a gentleman at a meeting that Sheila Cochran be giving them little citizens dinners and stuff, and they were talking about the insurance issue. And I met a young man that gave me his number, and these new Detroiters do not want to pay this redlining prices of insurance, and they've already started a suit against the insurance company. I invited them to Hood Research. They should be coming. We're trying to set it up next month for them to come and enlighten us about a lawsuit. We should all be hands-on and try to get some suits against these insurance companies because they've been getting away with this racketeering for too long. So everybody, and for those of you who have been trying to help us to get these laws changed and fair, and that seems to be falling on deaf ears because if you don't get if you don't get your party to agree, then you just one vote in the House. So the people have to get up and try to do something. If it's a lawsuit or start trying to just pay one insurance company and drop all the other ones. But we got to come with some strategy because you can't do it by yourself, Coleman. You sitting up there trying to get them to go along with you. And like you said, you got more Republicans sitting at the table. We already know they don't give a rat's about us. So, we just have to come at more angles and do what we can to help you when you start doing your lawmaking decisions.
Okay.
Thank you for taking my call. I
love you. Love you too. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Love you too. Let me say this too. First of all, I went to one of those things called Citizens Detroit. It was a speed dating, type of style. So you would basically go to one table, you would talk about what you want to do, and then you be there for a couple minutes. Then you go to another table, then you go to another table, then you go to another table after that. So we went to like 14 tables. So it was pretty interesting. Also, let me say this as well. It takes 19 votes to pass anything out of the Senate. I am part of a group of only 10 people. 10. It takes 19 votes to be able to move anything out of the Senate. There's 27 Republicans. There's 10 Democrats. All right, got another caller?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, it's Pat from the East Side.
Hey, Kathy from the East Side. What's going on?
Great. And thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to say she is right about the quote-unquote, new Detroiters that have come into our city. I'm sure they're going to complain about the high rate of car insurance, and also about education. Because at some point, these quote-unquote new Detroiters are going to have children, and where are they going to send their kids?
Yeah.
They're not going to be at DPS.
Yeah.
They're not going to be bused to some other school on that route that they want to do with DPS.
Yeah.
So I'm sure these new quote-unquote Detroiters aren't going to put up with this. They can't continue using their mother and father's address.
So that's
that's
a good point. And let me just say this too real quick. I think that since they passed legislation that will allow charter schools to be able to take millage funds, I don't see why. I think that's gone to the governor's desk, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see why you don't have charter schools that are not chipping in money for public transportation for these bus routes. Nope. I'm not saying I'm a fan of the bus route or not a fan of the bus route. I'm just saying I don't understand why they're not paying for that, one. And it's some places you can send your kids to charter schools, but in other places you can't. And the public school closed down because of lack of money or whatever else. Charter school closed down because of lack of performance. And so you got a kid sitting somewhere on the east side of city Detroit or on the west side, depending where he's at, where there's no school in their neighborhood.
Exactly.
That's why they got to walk 3 miles on average just to get to school. And 25% of the city don't have access to private transportation.
Exactly. So I wonder where they're going to send these quote-unquote new Detroiters that are moving in here in droves. All these little hipsters, all these little young, up-and-coming, whatever. They're going to start having children. They're not going to put them in DPS schools.
Well, listen.
And again, they can't continue using their mother and father's address in Rochester Hills, in Oakland County, or in Ohio, or wherever.
Yeah.
Because they're not even paying taxes to the city. Because now your mayor is looking to figure out ways to get them to pay taxes because they're working in the city, but they're not paying the taxes.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Well, I mean, listen. No, you're fine. No, that's a perfect point, Kathy. I was just going to say, one of the reasons why I'm running for Congress is so we can take advantage of the Qualified Zone Academy bonds so we can build, those are programs to build new schools in low-income areas. That's one of the reasons why I'm running. And we also need to take advantage of expanded learning time so kids in school for longer days and longer years. And also, we need to also invest more in Head Start. I think that's something that's important. And you have universal pre-K because the child's mind develops most between 0 and 3 years old, as well as invest more in community schools with wraparound services in these neighborhoods. But you're right. Until we start having high-producing schools and until we start having a system of accountability for these charter schools in terms of the universities or the community colleges or other programs that authorize these charters, that there's no accountability right now, you know what I'm saying? This is not going to change. It's going to continue to keep happening.
No,
And so
it's
I
sad.
agree.
Again,
And then on top of that,
they're
the
gonna have
auto
to find
insurance, you're
somewhere
right about
to
that
feed
too.
their children, because it's not going to be in GPS schools. You can believe that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, you on the air?
Coleman Young Jr., how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Can you do me a favor?
Go ahead.
Can you pass a bill that define what is a black person and what's a Negro? You know, these Negroes get on here and they want you to do everything, but they don't do nothing. We've been paying high insurance. I've been driving for over 30 years, and they've been paying us. We've been paying high insurance, red line, racist insurance for at least 30 years that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your daddy on his dying bed.
Your question got my mama
said,
rolling in the back here, by the way, man. I just want you to know that, man.
Well, she's laughing because we don't want to cry together. Because these Negroes are sorry. The bottom line is, you stop spending your money with these car dealerships and car insurance, guess what they're going to do? You're going to have a seat at the table. See, the thing of it is, divided, we don't stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you got...
United we stand,
couple
divided we
callers
fall.
Call in, and we got Sheila Cockrell, of all people, gathering the hipsters, and now the hipsters gonna come save the Negro. Black folks been fighting for insurance. See, the difference, and I know a lot of people gonna get turned off when I use the word Negro because they are Negro. Negroes are just dead thinking people. And a Negro won't vote. And a Negro will tell you your vote don't count. Then I say, silly Negro, why they spending money to suppress your vote? Why they spending money to gerrymander your vote? You're a silly Negro. You have not had a mandate in this city as far as an election, I think, since Dennis Archer and Sharon McPhail. It's been low voter turnout ever since then. Correct me if I'm wrong. See, the thing of it is, until we become united, we ain't gonna get nothing. And the people that are oppressing, you up there, Coleman. These white folks, these oppressors meeting at Django Island, they up at the Candyland Mansion in Mackinac. And they discussing agendas to place upon us. Not agendas that we have a ear or have a say-so in. They won't have a Mackinac Island at Belle Isle because we're too close to them. Then we can reach out and touch them. That's what they fear. They fear if we ever begin to touch them. Because I can tell you, Detroit is very violent. And it's not violent because of guns and ski masks. It's violent because of the policy and legislation placed on us. The fact that we had what's the substitution for water, Coleman?
For what?
What's the substitution for water?
There ain't no substitution for water.
So we had an asset that was priceless. Water was more than all the oil in the Middle East, and these Negroes couldn't leverage it. They couldn't leverage a priceless asset. Your daddy said, do not let them take the water. And we sitting over there with a Muskersky plant that's closed because Cool David Bean said we couldn't afford to fix it. Well, Negro, you can't afford not to fix it. Well, we control the water.
Well,
so
listen.
Under authority, everything has been authority. And everything, when you get in Congress, you've got to use your office as leverage to reverse or make illegal PA 436. Because how can you call yourself a patriot? How can you say you don't like Colin Kaepernick kneeling, but you sit back and you let Rick Snyder take your democracy by taking your votes and the asses of your all-black cities in Michigan?
That's a good point. That's a good point right there. And let me say this too. Let me say this as well. As far as terms of what you talking about in terms of the water department, one of the reasons why I'm running is so that we can have more money to fix the water system, so we can make it cheaper for people to be able to pay their bills. Because 30% of the water that DWSD generates comes from, is lost due to leaks. So that's something that's very important. But let me say this too, and I think you're right about this in terms of Colin Kaepernick, and also in terms of emergency manager laws. I think that's something that's very important. But I also think the fact that there is not a poverty agenda, and I also think the fact that what you talking about earlier in terms of we need to have an agenda for black folks, in terms of poor folks and Latino folks that's out here in the city of Detroit right now, and people that are hurting, we need to be able to have one. I totally agree with you. And
well,
we don't.
I say this, Coleman. Divided, we beg. United, we bargain.
That's
it's
right.
Just that simple.
That's
it's
right.
Just that simple.
You're right.
And I'll say this. And until somebody does a complete investigation of the bankruptcy, we're going to continue to pay. And we can't wait for no white savior.
Well, look.
Black folks got to get in these streets. You taxed yourselves $2 billion for school improvements, and me and you, Coleman, can walk from Alta Road to 5 Points, and we can't find $2 billion for capital improvements.
Well,
and
look.
In fact, our schools close on inclement weather days.
Well,
now,
look, let me say this.
District where they close because it get warm.
Well, let me say this.
Cold.
I think, and I got to be careful because I'm running for office. I'm not saying it should be a federal mandate. But I think every 8 years, I think they should be a forensic audit done in the city of Detroit involving contracts.
Absolutely.
Every 8 years. I'm not saying they'll solve all the problems, but I think they'll give a higher level of exposure and transparency that otherwise would not exist if we don't. Because I know they're very expensive to do.
If you look at an
but
audit as a spotlight, when you turn on the light, the roaches run.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is turn on the audit every now and then, and they run. You begin to control this corruption. The thing of it is, and until we get black folks to outnumber the Negroes in this city, we're going to keep getting Negro consequences.
Well, all right, brother. I love you. I appreciate you. I
wait for that bill to define Negroes and black folks.
No, I ain't even touching that. I love you, brother. You be good now. Take care. Appreciate you. Nah, I ain't even going over there. The thing I said, no, don't worry about it. We talk about. We got another caller. Just give you another caller. They talking about another young man lost his life from the Goldbergs. Another actor. All these people dying. Jackson Odell from the Goldbergs found dead at 20 years old. Anthony Bourdain, may he rest in peace. He passed away. I don't know what's going on. There's another one, I think Spade. I think it was Kate Spade. I think she passed away. What is happening? We got to call. We got to pray for these people, man. Call you on the air. What's the young fan? Hello?
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, real quick. First of all, people have to get out and vote.
Uh-huh.
It's not no good if the people don't get out.
Take it.
Don't let it rain or school. Don't rub out your fingernails or your arms and all that. Get out there and vote.
Absolutely.
And you need to get these people that got transportation services to go pick up people that need to get to these voting. It ain't going to do good if they don't get out and vote. We want you to get in that district that you're trying to do. What's the 13th district? Mm-hmm. You're going to get in that spot. We need you in there. And then don't forget, and then I'm going to hang up. Please forget, on the city council, they put that Abe, what's his name? Abe, oh, God, Leland, whatever his name is, had been invested for contracts that he was doing and vibing, getting money off. Don't forget they tried to lock one of our persons up who passed away. That was on one because I can't think of
You breaking up, man. You breaking up.
Yeah, but anyway, but nevertheless, they need to continue to try to investigate him, that Abe Leland. I'm hanging. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you already answered your question. They doing more. They investigating him already, man. I really don't think we need to say anything more about that. That speaks for itself. We got another caller?
Yes.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Also, there's still being investigation in court about how they stole these elections. They also need a forensic audit on the CAFA account because we're steadily paying for our own demise because they hijacking our tax dollars and they're redirecting monies from much-needed school programs, our schools, our safety and our protection, and they moving it over into another direction to build their playgrounds. So we're financing our own demise because we're not getting people to at least forensic audit on where is the money that's in these CAFA funds that's supposed to support, serve, protect, to supply our schools with everything that it needs. But once again, these new Detroiters, they do not want to pay that tax. They do not want to pay that insurance. And they already started the lawsuit against the insurance company. And I'm going wherever the lawsuit goes because I want to pay too. So people just got to stay informed. And even if you vote, you better investigate and research the person you're going to vote for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you. Appreciate you. We got the call. Caller.
Hi, Coleman.
Hey, Brenda.
You know, I was listening to your program so intensely that we almost ran out of time.
Yeah.
So I want to say quickly, before we can take another caller, that our Highland Park office is open.
Sweet.
And the phone number is 313-675-7960. And we're going to have a meeting next Saturday at 11 o'clock at the Highland Park office. And everyone should call me to let me know they're going to be there. Also, you're going to be the guest speaker for the Juneteenth celebration in Highland Park as well. And then we've got 4 billboards up this week. Did you see them?
Say that number again.
313-675-7960.
And where's the address? Where's it at?
396 LaBelle in Highland Park.
Say it one more time.
396 LaBelle in Highland Park.
Say it a final time.
313-675-7960. 396 LaBelle in Highland Park.
And what day we meeting?
11 o'clock on the 16th.
11 o'clock on the 16th. That's a Saturday.
Yes.
11 o'clock on the 16th. That's a Saturday.
Because you're the guest speaker at the Juneteenth celebration.
Okay, 11 o'clock on the 16th.
So you have a lot to do. And we're going to have 6 more billboards go up this week as well.
Yay.
Yes.
And I also just want to say I went to New St. Paul Tabernacle, and I thank Bishop P.A. Brooks today.
You did?
Yeah,
Bishop. 3 forums this week as well, right? Romulus, Michigan United.
No, I didn't go to Romulus. I went to Michigan United. Michigan United was the one forum. No. I went to
yesterday you went to Michigan United. Friday you went to Citizen Detroit.
I went to Citizen United on Thursday. Then I went to Michigan United on Saturday. That was yesterday.
And then on Monday you went to a forum.
Yes. Monday I went to a forum too. Yes, listen.
Was that Romulus? Inkster.
Yes. Listen, we love you. We got to get going. I appreciate you. Thank you, Brenda. You the best in the world. I couldn't do without you. Love you, Brenda. Okay, remember, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I'm your state senator, Coleman Alexander Young II. I'm soon to be your next congressman of the 13th District. I'll see you next time. Thank you, Bishop P.A. Brooks. Love you, New St. Paul Church of God in Christ. St. Paul Church of God in Christ. Love y'all too. Bye-bye.